Doesn't matter.
But it's going live, so hopefully.
Here we go. I'm live.
You are.
Hey,
live.
everybody. Dive on over. Come sit with me, Mr. Peter.
I'm coming in from the wrong side. It's very weird, isn't it?
Oh, look, we've both gone for the gold.
Oh, you got gold.
Going for gold.
Well,
that
I might go,
terrible program from the 1980s with Henry Kelly that you might remember in the UK.
I got no idea.
I'm not sure that my phone's on airplane mode either.
It is. I've checked.
Well,
oh, my hair.
sir.
Jesus.
You look beautiful, Peter.
Yes.
There is some flame on that guitar that you are wielding.
There is some flame on here.
And we are here because this is a momentous day. You need
That's
to
been
tune
cute.
that up.
That's been cute.
So it is a momentous day because last year, obviously, there was a big change of ownership at Gibson Guitars. New management team came in, new CEO, JC, Cesar, new finance guy, lots of changes. And at the NAMM show, they announced that there would be a big change to I say a big change. There would be all the changes that you've been asking for.
Yeah.
The standard was going to go back to being the standard. The pricing was going to be more in line with perhaps people's expectations. The annual range change was going to be a thing of the past. And I think everybody unanimously went, hallelujah! And really since then, we've just been waiting for the guitars to arrive. And at this morning, the friendly UPS man delivered pallets and pallets of the things.
He must have gone, what's going on?
Yes. And now the internet is just awash with Gibson videos today. So here's ours. So what we thought we'd do is a very time limited live video. Get your questions in. And in about half an hour, we're going to stop this live video and do our like normal, proper high quality videos.
Yes.
So I say high quality. That's obviously.
But this is the first time we ever seen. We literally unboxed them, taken them up here. That's why this wasn't in tune. And we would just put them up here and then go live stream. Look, so we got a little thing here where we can see your questions.
And the cool thing is as well, we're using some new tech, which is why the camera angle is jumping around a little bit, and you can see close-ups of me, hello, and close-ups of him,
hello,
which I like. So
it's a cool thing from Roland.
It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
anyway, look. For that. So,
resonance.
I'm going to dive in. I haven't had a chance to quickly whiz through these questions yet, but I'm going to tell you the basic change to the Les Paul Standard, which is what we have here. Now, for the last probably 5 or 6 years, I have been trying to get across the message from Gibson that the Les Paul Standard, i.e. the throwback to the guitars they made in the 50s and the 60s, really wasn't called the Les Paul Standard in the Gibson range. It was called the Les Paul Traditional. The Les Paul Standard was the guitar that they would try to give like a modern twist to. I didn't necessarily have a massive problem with that. I know it was a subject of great debate on the forums. So one of the decisions that Gibson have made under their new management team is the Les Paul Standard should be a throwback guitar.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And a Les Paul Modern, which we will video later this week and you'll see later on the channel, will be the one for the sort of the contemporary players.
Yes.
So we have 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 versions of the Les Paul Standard. Starting with, grab the P91.
This one.
If you want to go back to kind of almost how it all began, you'd see something with P90s on it and a gold top, admittedly a different kind of bridge, but whatever. So this is now the 50s Les Paul Standard with P90s. If you're not a fan of the gold top or you're not a fan of the humbuckers, sorry, the P90s, you can have the same guitar, but with humbuckers, various colors. We'll show you the different colors.
It's this nitro lacquer all of this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can get my spray can out then.
Don't do that. And if you're a fan of a slightly slimmer neck and a slightly pokier set of pickups, they now do the Standard in a 60s slim taper neck. And we'll go through this in more detail. Other things that have changed between now, So the Les Paul Traditional, the outgoing Les Paul Traditional in the range is the closest guitar from the old range to these, but it's not an identical guitar. They're now using the ABR1 bridges on these guitars. So it's the bridges that typically will be used on the custom shop. They're a little bit more period correct. There is no weight relief on these guitars, although again, there was no weight relief on the traditional either. There's a cool feature on the Andertons website for all these guitars. When they arrive, they're all individually photographed and weighed. So if you want to get an idea of what does that mean, having a guitar that's not weight relieved, and how much variance is there across, say, 10 different models of the same thing, you can see that on our website. The machine heads now will be different. So the 50s one will have the tulip style, traditional, sort of vintage style Clusen machines. And the 60s ones will have the Grover sort of button style. What do you call those? Can't remember.
Button bean. No, they're not button beans. Are they? Are they? That's from Harry Potter, isn't it?
The traditional, of course, from the outgoing range would have just had one neck carve option on it, which would have been more akin to the 50s carve. Not identical, but more akin to it. The new guitars now have a 50s vintage style thickness and a slim taper thickness. All you aficionados will know that there wasn't like a point in time in sort of 58, 59 when Gibson just went, oh, I know what we'll do. We'll start making guitars with this profile neck tomorrow. It was a gradual movement from a sort of a fatter to a thinner neck over a 2 or 3 year period. But historically, looking back at it, we typically talk about the 50s one being fatter and the 60s one being slimmer. Pickups are different. So the 50s has the Burstbucker 1 and 2, which are the same pickups that were on the traditional. They're the more vintage voiced Alnico 2 magnet humbuckers. The 60s has the Burstbucker 61s, which are the Alnico 5s, a little bit hotter. There's no pushy-pulley.
I love that.
You don't. I know you don't.
No, that was
sarcasm.
Danish sarcasm.
There's a couple of things I've heard about which are supposed to be a little bit more period correct. The binding is very slightly thinner now on these guitars. I've heard I heard Cesar talking about the width. I think the width of the headstock is micro different again to make it slightly more period correct. I think I've understood that correctly. All AA flame tops, which is crazy because if you get that thing in the light, it's unbelievably sexy.
Take that up. Look. Smells so good, man.
And again, lastly, the orange drop capacitors and the CTS pots, which I think are what was on the old traditional. But this idea of what we were seeing on a lot of Gibson models previously, where all the pots were sort of mounted onto a PCB and then just dropped into the cavity for sort of speed of manufacture. That's all gone.
Brilliant.
And it's gone back to just individually 4 pots wired and soldered in to just do the job that they're supposed to do. So look, and I think in the most amazing gesture to customers, is it a gesture? But I think it is, because they didn't need to do this. But this is like the cherry on top. These are now $19.99 retail. So
UK pounds.
UK pounds.
Yeah.
So that's about 20% less than the old traditional was. 10 to 20% less than the old traditional was, maybe, and a good £500 or £600 less than the old standard was.
Yes.
So anyway,
so good for
Pete,
good for everyone.
Can we just get some tonnage?
And this was just jumped in from. I don't know if this is too loud or not because we are just using a couple of overhead mics. It sounds good to me.
Yes.
Can you hear it out there? The 2 middle, same pickups together. On a back pickup.
I am repeating myself in this video because I'm just watching the questions coming through from people who are just joining us now. But yes, this is a live stream, quick overview of the new stuff. The audio quality in a live stream is never going to be amazing, but it gives you a flavor. And then as soon as we finish this live stream, Pete and I are going to lock ourselves away into the studio for a day or two and just do the whole range. So from the cheapest juniors up to the moderns, the SGs, the Firebirds, everything. And then over the next 2 or 3 weeks on the Andertons channel, bit by bit, that'll all get drip fed out and you will get high quality videos of everything.
Yeah. So, so we take a few questions. I mean, it is, some people are saying there's no audio.
Well, I don't know, travel videos is just saying over and over and over again that there's no audio.
I think that's a bit of a trolling going on there, don't you think? It's like there's no audio and everybody's panicking around.
Okay, cool.
Questions?
So let's just do questions now. So apologies if we're looking at the screen and it looks a bit weird. First impressions, would you buy one? I mean, okay, I'm a massive Les Paul fan, as you know. And I've actually, in fairness, found myself regularly sticking up for the previous, I don't want to call them a regime, management company, because I never thought that the quality control over the last 2 or 3 years was ever as bad as everybody made out.
No.
But, you know, these guitars have all come out cases. As I said, these guitars are arriving in dealers all around the world. So there's no question that, you know, this is a relatively, I don't want to use the word mass produced, but they've obviously made a lot of them.
A lot of them ready to
So
go.
I don't want to get the impression that somehow the ones that Andertons have got have had special attention or whatever. They're just, this is presumably just how they are. And they look and feel great. I mean, it's just what a Les Paul should be. I think the best thing for me is it's just everybody, or the majority of people understood what they wanted from a standard. And it wasn't what the old standard was. It was, you know, that was confusing.
It was very confusing. Even I was confused.
And price-wise, I think, you know, I think, again, this stands up. You know, what if you look at Gibson's closest competitor in America to a single cut style mahogany guitar with a maple top, it would be something like a PRS 594.
Yeah.
And at $19.99 now, these are like £1,000 less.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's monstrously good value.
They do feel better now than they did before. I don't know what it is, but it feels great.
I mean, they've not changed anything. If you're going to be that, again, everybody knows, I think, that the neck break angle of the headstock, the way the D and the G string kind of separate, you know, angle though. Yeah, there's always this question of like, you have to make sure that your guitar has a good setup. You should use the kind of the nut sauce kind of lubricant over the nut sauce, you know, and it is what it is. A Gibson guitar is never going to be, and a Gibson guitar is never not going to have all those kind of characteristic twerks to it. But it's just the best looking, best sounding, coolest guitar ever made. You know, it's just a great guitar.
Les Paul, and it's great that somebody's come in and gone, we need to make this great again.
Yeah. Anyway,
yes, somebody does. It comes with a hard case. It does come with a hard case.
We'll get one.
Let me go and get one.
Whilst you're doing it, lefties, we are a little bit in the dark on. My gut feeling is what you're going to see from Gibson, and this is just me hypothesizing. You're going to see this core range in the catalog now for the foreseeable future. There isn't going to be this idea that at the end of 2019, somebody goes, oh, here's all the new ones for 2020. This is it now. So, but I suspect what you'll see will be every month, there will be limited runs of different guitars. Potentially left-handed will fall into that category. But if you want kind of like different colors, different twists on these, maybe lefties, as I said, that might well be something you'll have to wait for. Anyway, look at this.
This is good old. That's what I have with my 95.
100%.
Oh,
and a darker red interior, so not the pink or the cream.
Red wine.
Yeah.
Red wine.
So yeah, absolutely. That's a great looking
in this
case.
section, somebody says that. It's a good looking case. It's going back to the
they're all the same whether you buy a 50s or a 60s guitar. Right, next question.
Somebody want a bit of crank, put a bit of thing on there.
Do it, man. Do it. Anyway, look, as we've said, sorry if I'm repeating myself, this video is not about the best audio quality that we can get. It's not about really getting into the detail of how do the Burstbucker 61s compare to the Burstbucker ones, whatever.
We would do that.
It's just for you to ask questions. And then, as I said, we're going to dive off and do the proper audio quality videos of these afterwards. So anyway, and yes, not in this live stream, but over the next week or two, you'll see all the models in the range, the SGs, all the unusual shapes, everything being videoed. Holy moly, the questions are coming in so fast.
It's so crazy. How many people are watching?
There is
1,600 people are watching.
There's no weight relief on these standards. No. That's a big thing. Neck versus custom shop neck. Every custom shop neck that I've kind of tried ends up being very slightly different, whereas these are consistently all the same. So I don't think I can realistically sort of say, how does it compare?
Oh, that neck is much.
So what have you gone for? 50s?
There's a 50. The neck is, there's more neck.
More meat.
It's not super fat here. It's not super fat, but it feels more girthy up here.
I don't think that this neck feels as fat as my 58. Even though this is 50s.
No.
So I think what you're talking about maybe is...
So it's slightly wider maybe, but that might just be in my head.
This feels like marginally thinner than my 58, and then the 60s one is like thinner still.
Yeah, this is definitely...
The 60s one is almost more like a Strat neck on a Les Paul, isn't it?
Look at this.
Oh, it's so pretty, man. Anyway.
This is my favorite color of all of them.
David Turner, no, the finishes on the 50s and the 60s are different. That's pretty clearly... shown on both the Gibson website and our website. There are 3 burst finishes in the 60s.
Yeah.
There's 2 burst finishes and a gold top in the 50s, and then there's a gold P90 model. There's a finish called Unburst.
Unburst, yeah.
Which is a new name. But Unburst, I guess, is closest to the old sort of iced tea or maybe even lemon burst.
Like lemon burst,
it's like the most faded burst. Might as well show you actually what the bursts are.
Yep.
So we have.
Let's do this. 50s first. Yeah.
50s first, right? Tobacco Burst.
Oh, that was the first guitar I had, 1976.
Classic.
It was Tobacco Burst.
So if you're a Slash fan,
Slash
Tobacco Burst.
And then we got this one, which was the ice. What was it? What was this one?
Is this Heritage Cherry? I should have written this down.
Yeah,
do you know what? We might just need to triple check this on our website first.
Just look at them.
I'm fairly sure you then had like Bourbon Burst.
Yeah.
Bourbon Burst. And do you know what? Either pass me a phone or an iPad, because I don't want to tell people that something's a certain color when it isn't.
While I do that, Lee, could you just tell me about the tenon? Do you know anything about the tenon, neck tenon? Is it short? Is it long? I don't know that either.
I mean, period correct should be a long tenon, but if I'm honest with you, I don't know. I will ask the Gibson guy the next time I speak to him. It's a creaky chair.
I've got a creaky chair.
Here we go. Right, Gibson.
Where's the? There it is.
Where's?
I'll tune this up. Somebody wants to hear this. I think what's happening when I play, these two might phase out a little bit. Right. Might be the question. Problem.
Okay, so as I said before, 50s Tobacco Burst with the darkest edge around it, if that's your thing. Taylor Tate, could we get a close-up on these? That's all right, then? No worries. So that's the 50s in Tobacco Burst.
Yeah.
The next 50s one, which is here,
I need to sort this chair on,
is the Heritage Cherry Sunburst. Classic. Oh, look at that, man. Yeah, I'm just going to say for you now, this is serial number 104490286. That is pretty. Pete's got the gold top of the P90s. You saw the gold top that I was playing before. So the next 60s one, the darkest 60s one, is the one on the end there, which I believe is Bourbon Burst. Bourbon Burst? Bourbon,
man.
It's a biscuit.
Yeah, it's not a
Then you've got a very slightly redder burst called Iced Tea on the 60s.
It's a great wrapper
again.
And
it's a great top on that as well. These are only supposed to be AA flame tops. Maybe Gibson are just treating you with the first ones, but this is 1031 900/36. And then, as I mentioned before, this sort of the fadedy looking one is called Unburst, which I love the fact is basically Sunburst, but with no S on it.
This plays so nicely, man. It feels so nice.
Holy moly. All the flames are great. So this is 1050 90086. Made in the US of A.
Take the back of this as well.
Well, look, we should really, let's just do, I mean, I don't know whether the audio will be good. So do a little bit of playing on that, and then we'll compare that to the 50s and then compare it to the 60s. And then I think, unless any other really great questions come up, we'll stop the live stream, and hopefully that's enough of a taster for you now. And we'll go and shoot some normal video. If you live near Guildford, and you want to try these for yourself, they should all be on display from today.
From today,
and if you don't live near Guildford, then shame on you. Move house. I'll put a link to an estate agent in the description below.
Somebody asking left-handedly. How are we looking on left?
We don't know yet about left-handed.
Okay. What frets are we on here? We don't know.
Somebody's given us a little tip. Very kind of you. A question just did come up. Which neck is most similar to a Fender guitar? Well, to be honest with you, it pretty much follows the same thing that they do. The big chunky neck early 50s Fender guitars are going to be like the 50s Les Pauls, and a modern C-shape Fender neck is going to be more like the slim taper on the 60s one. What have we got? What kind of case do these guitars? Joe Brennan, you just rewind. We show you the case earlier in the video. Oh man, well there we go. Look, I don't know what the audio's like there. I'm loving our new visual setup here. I'm loving the fact that we can just, you know, Tay can just, it's like being in a professional film studio. I love it.
Apart from there's no professionals in here. Exactly. And the lunch, the catering.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, there we go. So I don't believe I've seen any other questions come through that we've not really answered at some point in this video.
Rosewood, right?
Rosewood for shizzle.
Somebody's asking rosewood.
Absolutely. It's all what it should be expected.
It's warm in here, man.
It's warm
in here.
Anyway, look. That's it now.
Great.
We're stopping. We are going to go and do some proper videos, proper sweeps. Sweeps. Thank you so much, as always, for joining in. If you chucked some money at us at some point during that jam, you are super, super kind people. We love you all. And onwards and upwards. Right. Say goodbye, Pete.
Goodbye, Pete.
Are we finished? End stream? No, we have to physically press the end stream button.
Yeah.
End him! End him!